Good morning and welcome to today's RC Coffee Chat. Right, in today's episode we have 7 topics. First topic is HobbyKing. Second topic is the C1 Chaser build progress. Now I do need to just quickly check my phone to make sure the extra photos which I took have been uploaded. I think they may have done. Yes, they have. We have an FrSKy new range of receivers. Now, has that just been a pest over all the RangeX receivers, which we saw come out recently on Banggood? We've got a diversity receiver as well, which is on a discount. They're quite a hefty, about 20 quid off, which I spotted. We'll get to that in a moment. Oh yeah, the clouds. We'll look at that in a moment. How? I've not bought that. I just do not know. Those of you looking for a vector, I have potentially a early heads up notice on 10% off a vector as well. And tomorrow might be a flying day. Yay, I haven't been flying a week. This is going to be mint. So yeah, just coming back to topic number 1, which is HobbyKing. Now, this is more of like an open question, is that yesterday I posted that episode about the pants deals on HobbyKings, and they really were crap. And there's no update to it today. So what I noticed in the comments from that video, which is a lot of people had been and noticed that HobbyKing had just gently increased their prices, not only from the site switch. And you'll notice that I'm choosing my words very carefully there, and did not say downgrade. Oops, I just said it. For it, have you noticed the prices slowly increasing on the HobbyKing site? I noticed with the Bonsai and the Texumo specifically, they did get more expensive. Now, not just because of the pound sterling changing, and unfortunately the conversion rates changing. But the dollar rate went up as well, which was a little bit peculiar. Remember, HobbyKing works in purely USD, and the other currencies are always estimations. That's why it always costs you more in the checkout when you end up making a purchase, because they work in USD, and if you're working in a different currency, their currency conversions are always slightly off. So yeah, did you notice any slight mild, I wouldn't even say mild in some cases, a general increase in price in the HobbyKing? If you have, do let me know in the comment section underneath this episode. Next up is the C1 Chaser build. So let me move that over there. Where's my camera uploads? So I finally got around to having a bit of spare time yesterday and started. I just need to sort these by date. And yeah, I had about an hour spare, so I sat down, and there is a new video coming out on how to make holes in EPO foam. So I've got some photos from what I did, which have now come up on the opposite screen. There we go. As I was doing this, I thought, well, hang on, I'd learnt this trick from watching some video somewhere else, and I've not seen anybody else mention this one in ages. So yes, notice how that video transmitter is really well embedded in the model, and it's actually really simple to do. All you need is a brand new razor blade, a pair of pliers, and a Sharpie. And the Sharpie is because we mark out the depth on the device, and then we cut that out. And I've made a separate video for that one. I will either publish it today or tomorrow, or at worst case Sunday, on how to do that. It does give such a clean finish, and you get this uniform bed in there as well. So I've got some more photos which I wanted to share. Great, they're all coming up on the wrong screen. Just a little note with video transmitters, I always set mine up so that they have a little bit protruding on the top, and that helps with heat dissipation. Also with video transmitters, I never mount them from the bottom up. I've seen other people do that. For me, that just doesn't make sense, because foam is a very good insulator and heat rises. So if you are ever going to put a video transmitter in a model, especially on the wing, for example, is make sure that you get some airflow over it, and make sure that heat can rise up through the foam as well. So that basically what I'm saying is make sure there's a hole or there's good airflow like what I've been and done there. Not only does that make good sense because foam is an insulator, but also it increases the lifespan of the product, and of course just straightforward common sense. If you're flying a little bit further than most, then you want to just apply a touch of common sense to your, not only the layer of your components, but also to ensure that they work each and every time to the best of your abilities. Next up, look at that seamless. In fact, I'm just going to make that a little bit bigger. Look how seamless that edge is around that GPS unit for the Vector. Absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. And then if we look at the hole inside, which is not so graceful from the inside, but can you see that bottom is all like a uniform level? And that's what you'll find out how to do in that episode. Now, obviously, if you're in the Facebook group, you've probably already been and seen that episode, but it is really, really simple to do. And you'll notice there is that I've also cut out an extra recess at the back for the S-bus lead to then go down, and then I'll run it underneath the wing itself. And yeah, I've got some nice photos. Oh, they're just popping up everywhere now. Right, so there she is. So you'll see the layout which I've gone for. I've got the video transmitter on the right wing. There's a Vector just plonked there in the middle, and then I've got the L9R on the opposite wing, and I glued in the the little thingiverse stand which I printed off to hold the antennas up on the left wing. It does look pretty cool. I've got better. They really are opening up on random windows today. And yeah, it's not bedded right in yet. I know it will fit in both way rounds, and I've also got the cables to run up underneath. Now, I don't have, and I am going to do a separate video on these servo extension leads which I've got, because the quality on them is just leaps and bounds upon other servo leads which I've had. So I will do a separate video on those leads, because I will be using them in the C1 Chaser build. They are just super cool, and they're twisted as well, which again helps with cut down interference. Now, another little note which I've spotted is that I am a little bit concerned. If I go back to the previous picture, is that there is the spar comes out to about here on the wing, and this last piece is a little bit too flexible for my personal liking. So today there is a Irish-based company, or Northern Ireland-based company called easycomposites.co.uk. I will be on their website today, and I'm going to order up some of that flat plate carbon fibre, and I'm going to run a plate just in front of the elevon somewhere, and maybe along the leading edge as well, to help give the wing some extra rigidity. Now, those of you which are going to go, oh, bash in the comments straight away, oh Matt, that's going to interfere with your video transmission and also your receiver. Yes, I do know that carbon fibre is definitely a very good conductor, but in this instance, it's one of those cases where I feel that it would be appropriate to the longevity of the actual model itself. And also, if you consider that I now won't actually lob this model for a launch using the hand grips underneath, because I'm scared about the blade behind, and that's the... In fact, that's the one negative which I can say about the C1 Chaser, is that because I've got an 8x6 prop, which is a big prop on there, it's the biggest prop which I can fit on the model, is that it does concern me that I know that I probably 99% of the time I'll get my hand out of the way, but I am doing side launches with her, so I would definitely already be putting some carbon strips down the side, and maybe I should see if they've got some glass fibre strips instead, which obviously isn't a conductor, and wouldn't if it did, the amount of interference with video transmission and the reception would be less. So I will have a look at glass fibre instead. Obviously, there's not much weight difference, to be honest. Just carbon fibre sounds better. Anyway, so I would be putting a piece down there, and I know that I'm laminating this model anyway, which will really give her a lot of rigidity, but I think I am going to get some extra strips to put in there just to stiffen up those wings. And again, stiffer wings, greater flight efficiency. Does it outweigh the weight which I add? 50-50, I genuinely don't know. But on the flip side, I do feel that it would help to the longevity of the model. And I know they're only 50 quid, but I spent a lot of time and effort building this one. So I'd rather that it lasted as long as possible. What else have I got? And I've got any other nice little photos. Oh yeah, big tip for you, really big tip. Do not use Yoo-hoo Paw on white EPO foam because it looks like it's pissed itself all the way down the seams. Not a pretty sight. It had, let me just stress, Yoo-hoo Paw has created a very good seam on there, very nice strong joint. And you'll notice that, I don't know if you can see that down on that leading edge just there. No, it's not doing it. Down on that edge, that foam had a bit of a knock in it, but I'm not that concerned about it because, like I said, I'm going to be laminating the model anyway. But yeah, Yoo-hoo Paw, white EPO, doesn't look good with pea stains on it. So that was the C1 Chaser. Let's go and close some of these windows down. What's next up? Oh, have FrSKy just been pissed on the RangeX camp. Now, I think it was Mike which spotted this in the comments yesterday. So a big hat tip to Mike. Yesterday I spoke about this tiny little receiver. I've been and ordered one because I didn't, it just says FrSKy XM 2.4 16 channel telemetry receiver. So that meant S-Bus. And it looked very, very cool. And when we looked at the details, we even had RSSI out and things like that. And it was £8-ish yesterday. So yeah, a bit of a no-brainer to buy one and see what it was like. And then Mike had spotted that actually, I need to get these two tabs around the right way round. This is the FrSKy website. So those of you which are using a Tyrannus or maybe have a FrSKy module in the back of your transmitter, is basically FrSKy have now been pissed on all the RangeX receivers which were coming out and have just basically beaten them up on price point and basic functionality and branding applied to it. So there is the XM product. There's the images which we recognized from before. It's D16, so that means telemetry as far as I know. And also, we need to be keeping an eye out for an XM Plus module. So if we look on here, this one's got 2 antennas. And yeah, look, operating range, full range. So basically, that means, again, just using the other receivers as a reference, the XM was 600 meters. And the XM Plus, when they say full range, just knowing what I know about the other receivers, is that does mean up to 1.5 kilometers or thereabouts. So this tiny little, the first one which I've just been and bought, the normal XM, I'm already saying normal XM, is good for 600 meters. Perfectly fine for line of sight and spanking quads around. You would have absolutely no range issues with most quads. Okay, but those of you which are a little bit paranoid, then we do have an XM Plus on its way out to us, and that's happy days. Yeah, look, up to 16 channels, channels 1 to 15 with, for PWM, and 16 for RSSI for flight controller. It looks like they've, even though I'd mentioned in previous episodes about the FrSKy protocol now being open and being reverse engineered, and then FrSKy came back in and just basically slammed all the copies into the ground and came out with a superior product at an excellent price point. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. What more can be said? FrSKy, very, very well done. Very well done. Next topic which we have is a diversity receiver. So on the flight line, I can tell you 100%, my other one's over there in the box, but the Bosscam, what's it, the FR632, that's the one which was in the sand going everywhere. That's the one which has been in the cement mixer, and I will get around to doing an episode on that one at some point, is that the diversity receivers do work really, really well, especially if you, I'm using a Alma Way plate directional antenna, which was the 14 dBi one, which I think was like 14 quid, something like that. I'll put a link to it in the video description. Is that it did work, and it does work really, really well. I genuinely mean that. So if you were thinking about whether you should get a diversity receiver or anything like that, yeah, absolutely. I'll quite happily. And again, the other really nice reason for having a diversity receiver is because I normally put my tripod stand up with the receiver on the top, and then I've got my little deck chair sat next to it for cushion. You can sit there and you can just sit back and enjoy the flight, whether that is of a slightly longer distance, or if I'm spanking the Hornet all the way around the trees and stuff like that. I just point the plate at the trees and I can sit there and then just muck around in the trees. It's brilliant. I really do like my Bosscam one. But that said, Banggood, I've got one with 20 quid off, which is the Sky Zone one. I am just going to go and quickly check, what was it, FR632. That's the one which I'm using, and I can tell you it is worth the money, in short. I know I had those issues with the first one, hence why I chucked that one in the cement mixer. But yeah, diversity receivers, they really do work. And it allows you to run, say, a clover leaf on the left antenna and a plate antenna pointed at the direction which you intend flying that day. And there's always, you get this with clovers anyway. So you imagine then you come back to the flight line and maybe you've knocked the model into return to home or loiter mode, for example, and it's looping above your head, is that because you're inside the mushroom, or inside both of the mushrooms which the antennas make or receive in, is that you do get a little bit of sketchiness above your head. Well, you know that because it's above your head, but the second you go, let's say, behind the receiver and the clover really does kick in, perfect. And then when it goes in front of you, because you're then using the plate, yeah, works great. It is one of those nice pieces of kit to have in your tool bag at your disposal. In short, and I power mine off just a FrSKy battery, which sometimes I don't even need charging when I've even used it for most of the day. The power consumption on those things is dire, like none. Well, obviously, it's very low. It's probably the best term for that. So the Bosscam FR632, I do personally rate that very highly. It's worked absolutely brilliantly for me, even after the annoyance. Okay, so I got so annoyed I put that one in the cement mixer, and then the other one turned up, and now several months on, well, 2 months on or so, I am thoroughly impressed with it. So the FR632 is available, or there's a cheaper option which is the Sky Zone, which is probably basically the same components. Don't quote me on that one though. That one's also available, but for say 10 quid or less cheaper. Okay, so I'll put links to those in the video description. Next topic we have, every day I find myself sat here looking at the clouds and considering to myself how much the wife would kill me if one of those turned up, because there's no hiding a model of that size at all. I really mean that. You just can't hide that one, isn't it? I can't fit it underneath the desk. I can't put it underneath her desk, she'll kill me. There's no way which I can hide that model, and then my practical side kicks in, thinking, well, that's 2 motors, they're like 15 quid each, and then a couple of quid for propellers, and then 2 ESCs to go in there, and then a flight controller, and then batteries, and wiring it, and FPV, and then receiver. It all starts to mount up a bit quickly, so the headline price, while expensive, it really that's not even half the price of the kit of what you would put in there. So I do like it. I really do like the clouds. I just can't bring myself to spend part of my budget on that model. So maybe, fingers crossed, we might see it in a Black Friday deal. If we do, you're going to be looking at a very static mat, because any dent in that price will certainly help with the components which will end up going in there. Also on this page, something which I just a general observation, okay, is that Trojan has been featured in a couple of different YouTube channels which I've come across, either as the yellow version or as the standard white, red and black one, and we can see that there's 13 pre-orders on that model. The Clouds has got some attention, perhaps over on RC Groups, for example, and there's a couple of pre-orders on that model. Now, you might, well, I'll just scroll up because my head's normally in the bottom right-hand corner. The other model which is on here, which is the Skywalker X2. Now, that was the one which I did that joke episode a while back on when I was trying to get it out of the wife for Christmas. But just on a, it doesn't look like the most attractive model, and the price point is exceptionally high, especially if you can consider that you could have a C1 Chaser for half the price. Now, I have not seen anybody do any work or pre-videos on this model, so it's very much an unknown. So I think the combination of the price being high and its not so good looks and lack of reviews kind of points out that that's why there's been 0 pre-orders, and I can tell you that has been in their pre-orders page for at least 2 weeks, possibly a little bit longer as well. Because every day I'll come in here and check and see, what's in here to buy today? And no, there's the odd collection of things which I focus, like maybe like the diversity receiver, which was worth a mention today. But that one, I don't know. Is that because we're lacking third-party endorsements for it, or third-party reviews of it, should I say? So yeah, it's a curious one. Right, last 2 topics for today. EagleTree Vector. Now, how do I phrase this correctly? Maybe around this time last year, that it was known that RC Log were to run a 10% sale on their Vector kit, seeing as that it's Black Friday tomorrow, and they have been very active in their email marketing. I don't feel that it's too hard for us to put 1 and 1 together and work out that there may be a 10% deal off on EagleTree Vectors tomorrow on the RC Log site. So those of you which have been perhaps putting off getting a Vector for a while, there will be 10% off those. And just give you a complete heads up, not an affiliate link, anything like that. I have no association with RC Log at all. They just are the UK distributor of the EagleTree Vector. On a personal note, I've ordered 3. I've got 3 Vectors. The third one is on the way to me shortly, fingers crossed. And their customer support has been absolutely fantastic. And I mean that, absolutely fantastic. I phoned them up twice. They've been brilliant both times. I was able to add additional items to my order. And yeah, when putting an order in, if I put an order in today because they use Parsiforce, well, I love Parsiforce for many different reasons, but one of the main reasons is because where I'm located at the moment, we are the first house on the delivery schedule, so we get it way before 8 o'clock every single time. And again, that's one of the nice things for HobbyKing, to be honest. Yeah, having to pay for Parsiforce, which is heavily overpriced on the HobbyKing site, is that it does mean that I genuinely get those orders bang on first thing in the morning every single time. So coming back onto the topic, EagleTree Vector, if that's something which you're thinking about getting yourself for Christmas, likelihood is there's going to be 10% off them tomorrow. You get 2 choices, the XT60 connector or the Dean's connector. Happy days. So they are really, really good. And like I said, I have recorded part 2 of the setup episodes for the Vector. I do need to do part 3, and again, I had some free time last night and I focused on doing the C1 Chaser so I can get that one in the air sooner. So yeah, I will get round to part 3, and part 4 will be like a pre-flight test, and I'll do the recording on the goggle on the DVR, so you can see through the setup which I go through, and I'll also do some actual recording probably with that camera or maybe the run cam of just getting a fellow pilot's input on the model, just to get Dave, that would be you by the way, just get their input on, just to sanity check everything on the flight line, i.e. just make sure the surfaces move the way which we expect them to do. Again, if one of the vectors is going to go in the mini Talon, it will be a case of, Dave, is this VTOL working the way which it should do? Okay, it's always a good idea to get another pilot to check, especially the surface movements, because what it says in the transmitter is actually completely irrelevant. What we're looking for is, does the model react, or does the surfaces on the model react the way which it should do on the model itself? So otherwise, if you've seen in, what was it, the Nazi 32 versus Pixhawk series, is that the worst case, it goes woof in the ground, or it just spins in the air, which is not a pretty sight, especially with a model which is perhaps taking you quite a while to get up to get to even just get to its maiden. And the last topic is, we have sunshine booked for tomorrow, and that does look like a flying day to me. Yes, it's not 1 mile an hour wind, blah blah blah, but let's face it, we're almost in December now. That means that the UK starts to get wet, cold and crispy. Not a good combination. But look, sun. Well, it's going to be a sunny day tomorrow. And yes, the wind speed isn't perfectly ideal. But remember that conversation which we had a couple of coffee mornings ago? Who cares? It's only a bit of wind. Just fly with it. In fact, that kind of wind direction actually is pretty good for one of the flying sites which we fly at as well. Nice and straightforward to fly in that. It means that the return home is about 10 times as fast. So yeah, tomorrow might be a flying day. Hint, Dave. So, while I'm finishing off my coffee, to recap, did anybody else notice a sneaky price rise across HobbyKing on the prices of their models? Number 2, we had the C1 Chaser build progress. I am just chipping away on that one. I've said a couple of times, I'm really busy with work at the moment, so I am just trying to do little things as and when I can, just to chip away at these things. FrSKy XM range, yeah, that's going to be fun. Tiny little receiver. And like I said, FrSKy, I've just basically been and pissed over a RangeX. That's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. There's a diversity receiver out on special offer. Yeah, that is the cheaper one. Personally, if my Bosscam FR632 broke today, I would immediately go and buy another one. They are really good. So if you are doing slightly longer range stuff, or you have issues with range, or you normally at your flying site, if you're normally sat in one location and there's maybe trees or something which you want to fly through, then you will definitely find that having a plate antenna which has got a higher gain on it, the diversity gives you like the best of both worlds. You get directional point of view, and you've got a clover on the top, so that if you end up flying behind you or around to the sides and things like that, is that you still got good reception from a clover leaf. Next one, ought to be covered. Oh yeah, the clouds versus how I've not bought that. It just boils down to money, in short, that model. I'm just going to sit here and keep lusting at models every morning. Probably that one. It's not the prettiest of models. Let's be fair here, and that's actually a topic for tomorrow about some of the butt ugly FPV models which have come out. Yeah, it's not the prettiest of models, but it's got a lovely wingspan on it, and again, it's a twin engine or twin motor. That's all I'm saying. I haven't bought one. I really want to buy one. How many handbags is that going to cost me? That's the only reason not to buy it. Jeez. RC Log may or may not have a 10% discount code available tomorrow for Black Friday. I don't know. We will find out tomorrow. And the last topic for today is it's most likely going to be a flying day tomorrow. And also the wind direction is in exactly the wrong direction for slope soaring, which is a bit of a shame because I haven't been slope soaring for a while now, and I really do enjoy that. So, Andrew, if you're watching this, please keep a closer eye than what I am on the weather, because I'd really like to do some slope soaring. And it looks like Saturday here in the UK, well, it's not raining. Well, that's a bit of a bonus. And Sunday could be fair game as well, because basically the wind speed on the slope would be double that, so it'd be about 20 miles an hour, or maybe 22. So yeah, quite flyable. Monday, ooh, yeah, the wind looks. Should we just? Sorry, oh look, next week it moves around. Excuse me. Wednesday looks possible. That direction looks good for one of the slopes. So yeah, I'm just all excited. I'm fed up of being sat here at the desk. I'd really like to go out and fly some model airplanes. Saying that, today doesn't look that bad at all. I've just got too much work on, so I can't leave my office. So anyway, I'm talking too much. Thank you ever so much for joining me today to dribble over a Pacific model. She looks good. And yeah, with that said, from myself, Matt, thank you for joining me today for today's RC Coffee Chat. Oh, a side note, HobbyKing might release out some new cyber deals today, since it is the Thursday before Black Friday. Just checking it now. Some screwdrivers, some goggles, a bike, why? And some really pants quad deals. But yeah, if there is an update on HobbyKing Cyber November, I will pop out an episode later today. And on that note, my coffee really is getting cold. And whoa! Apologies, this is a longer episode than normal. On that note, thank you ever so much for watching. I really am going now. As always, cheerios!